and I've not recorded it. And I'm sure we've all done that, right, Brenda? Uh, so I want to do something slightly different. This is against my normal challenge or masterclass or workshop. What I know to be true is that, strategy isn't everything. And what I know to be true as well is most people know most strategies, yet they're still struggling to make sales. And the truth of the matter is that it doesn't matter like if you nail the strategy, it doesn't matter if you are able to generate leads. It doesn't matter if you are able to book calls. It doesn't matter if people are showing up on calls. If you are not closing deals, if people are not falling head over heels backwards to join you, then that's not necessarily a strategy problem or a sales problem. That's actually an offer problem. If you don't have an offer that is, shall we say, jaw dropping, irresistible, you've heard all those words before, Nicky gripping. I actually had one client come to me. They said, Andy, I want my offer to make my client's panties wet. That's it. That's her own words, not my words. If your offer doesn't do that, then it's going to be hard to make any strategy work. It's going to be hard to make sales. So this is why I wanted to do something slightly different from the norm of showing you how to fill your group, grow your events, or make sales. I wanted to look at the bedrock of building an irresistible offer, a jaw-dropping offer, a premium offer that when you position in front of your people, in front of your next potential client, like they love it, they understand it, they can see it, they can see themselves going through it. It's understandable, it makes sense to them, and it's like wow, like nobody has ever positioned anything like that in front of me before. Like where do I sign? And they're in. So I wanted to create something along those lines for those people that's interested. So what I have done is I have put together a few slides to illustrate the point, to walk you through so you can have an offer that allows you to charge more and bank more. So this is specifically for those who are talented coaches and who are ready to stop undercharging. So many coaches, amazing coaches that I speak to on a daily basis, and they like when they tell me the prices that they're actually charging for their offer, like my jaw drops open because I know the value that they bring to the world. I know the value and the results that they're generating for their clients, and I know that they should be charging more. But there's a reason behind why they're not. So this is for those people who are undercharging. Now, you might not be undercharging. Like, there might be somebody that's charging $200. That's undercharging. There might be somebody that's at $5,000 and undercharging. There might be somebody that's charging $8,000 and undercharging. So you could be undercharging at many different levels. This is not specifically for those who are like $47 a month. There's clearly undercharging, but people are undercharging at many different levels. So let's jump into this. For those who don't know much about me, I'm not going to spend too much on me, but I just want to paint a little bit of a picture about me. So many moons ago, and it seems like a lifetime ago, totally different life. I used to be a professional musician for 10 years. Now I am an introvert and I'm not an extrovert. You might think otherwise, but I am an introvert. But I studied music for a long time. And for 10 years, I became a professional musician. I stepped into pro musicians. Most people I knew who was doing what I was doing, they're just like bedroom musicians. And I was that for a little bit, but I stepped up into pro and I was a professional musician for 10 years. And I supported some world class artists that, like, if I was to drop some names, I knew that you would know them. And then I kind of like ran into a brick wall with that, and I fell into sales by hook or crook. Um, Fell into sales and loved it. From day one, I loved it. I taught myself, I read books, attended seminars, but I built up a huge clientele for my employee at the time. And whenever a client needed something, I was the person that they called because I built trust, I built deeper relationships. And above all the competitors, they called me when they wanted something. I got headhunted and I added 500,000 on new sales in the first 8 months of with this new company. I was the person that held sales meetings in the office when the sales manager didn't really have much to say, or didn't really know what to say, or didn't really know how to train people, because I was in the trenches each and every day, and I was moving needles and I was doing the things I needed to do, and I loved it. I was heading the meetings. I also was the person that got made redundant as well, and decided to use the skills to create my own business instead of jumping into another job, because I loved sales and I knew that I could take those skill sets and I could use them for myself. So just to create a little bit of a picture, like very, very quickly, I hit the ground running and I was speaking at local networking events. Very quickly, I was headhunted to run a mastermind, a 12-month mastermind for local companies in a city quite far away from me. So I used to speak every month around online sales. And then I was a guest speaker over in Egypt for a 3-day social media summit, which were amazing. Like these guys couldn't speak English, there were interpreters at the back, and I'm there with my quite deep Yorkshire Barnsley accent from the UK. And not only did they have to transfer, from Barnsley to English to Egyptian. And very quickly, my clients got some results. I was generating some amazing results for clients. 1,125 leads in 19 days at a cost of average of £1.90 per lead. That's where I'm running a Facebook ad agency. It's like totally knocking it out of the park generating leads. And here you can see in 1 month I generated 2,255 leads here inside Facebook ads. But then things kind of like went a little bit pear-shaped. And I pivoted online and I didn't make any sales for 3 months. Now, I was the guy that was good at sales, but I didn't make any sales for 3 months. I built every funnel under the sun. I jumped on every bandwagon of strategy. I felt like I was just throwing everything at the wall, hoping that something was going to stick. And yes, some things did stick, absolutely, but they weren't repeatable. I didn't have a system in place. And it was just like by hook or by crook that those things actually did work. Read book, listened to podcasts, bought low ticket offers. I did everything. I do consider myself as kind of like a fast mover. I don't hang around. I just brought a new client on board this morning and we jumped into an onboarding session and like we hit the ground running. We don't mess around. I'm that kind of guy. But when I jumped online, like nothing worked and I was moving fast, really, really fast. My back was against the wall, but I was too deep in it, and too committed to doing it. I wasn't going to get another job. That wasn't plan B. And I hustled hard, and it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 calls before I made my first ITK sale. I made other sales, right, to keep myself alive and to keep myself afloat and to keep the roof above my head. But literally when I made my first high-ticket sale, that's how many sales calls it took me until I got my first high-ticket client. But then what happened on the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, I also closed those people as well. And the reason why I share that story is because like I know I spoke to people and I've had some sales calls and I spoke to 2 or 3 people, nobody's buying. And like, there's no persistent there. There's no grit there. There's no, let's keep going there. And if you want to make this work, like this is the type of level and attitude that you've got to have in order to find out what works, in order to make it work. So that was just a little bit of history about me. One thing that I did do right at the beginning, when things weren't going the way that I wanted to go, and it like kind of like plateaued for some time, I took myself out of my business and actually took I took a picture of this morning because I still have this today, and this is over a decade ago now. When things weren't working at the level that I wanted to and weren't growing at the speed I wanted to, I took myself out of the business and I wrote these 5 questions or 6 questions, and I needed to come up with solid answers to why I need to make my business work. And I took myself off to a Starbucks coffee and I sat there and I got deep quality, deep answers to what was happening, why it was happening, where I wanted to go, what did I want to be doing. And then once I did this, then I realized I couldn't do it by myself. And I went into re-education because I knew sales. I knew sales wasn't a problem. And I knew strategy. I knew strategy wasn't a problem. I knew I wasn't lazy. I was executing. I was trying a lot of things. So I knew that wasn't a problem. I knew I wasn't a problem. There was other problems. So you can see me here. This is when I had like no grey hair whatsoever. And this is down in London. Um, and then also I flew myself off to Thailand on a 10-day business retreat. And you can see here. 10 amazing people. I think there were 12 amazing people, all stopping in this huge, huge, huge villa in Thailand. We started every morning on the beach. And what I learned there just totally radicalized and changed absolutely everything. Everything for me. And it wasn't long after that I started banking sales. I started banking sales. And the thing that we did on that retreat that I wasn't aware of is what I'm going to make you aware of. Because again, it totally changed everything. I didn't learn a new tactic. I didn't send more messages. At the time, like DMs weren't really in at the time. I'm going back over a decade. Like instant messenger, that instant communication wasn't even available then. I didn't necessarily work harder. I repositioned myself. And that's when everything changed. And I signed up an $18,000 client, which was at the time the biggest action coach in the UK. I don't know if you've heard of Action Coach. I think it's an American business coaching franchise. There's also over here in the UK. I booked a 2K VIP day and upsold that guy into a £25,000 a year package straight after the VIP day, on the VIP day. What after he just paid £2,000. And I know you can't see on the full image there, but I did £67,000 in a space of actually just over 2 weeks. So I shared the same principles with Dr. Darlene, and she was already selling $5,000 in an offer. That wasn't a problem. She knew this. She had a $15,000 offer inside of her. She just didn't know what that looked like, how to package that, and also how to pitch that and sell that as well. In the first 30 days, she did $15,000. And then we got Julia Svedberg selling a $13,500 offer. She was selling it offline, but packaging it and positioning it and selling it online, totally different beast. And she did $50,000 in 90 days. And then we got Caesar, who did $31,000 in 60 days. Again, he was already making low-level, low-ticket sales, but he knew that what he did, it was well worth a lot more than that. Like, well worth a lot more than that. And the conversations that I'm having with a lot of people, which I still do today, it's like they might be making sales at $1,000, $2,000 or $500, or even $4,000 or plus. And the sale is happening and the sale is too easy. And like they said to me, Andy, I know I could have sold that a lot more. I know I could have added another $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000 onto that, and they would have easily got it because they snapped me up. But the offer isn't packaged and positioned at that level. So this is more from Israel. She was selling at $5,000, but she knew that she had a high ticket offer inside of her. Her first client was a $12,000 client. Not by doing anything else apart from she had the strategy. I helped her dial in the strategy better. That wasn't necessarily the problem. I helped her with sales skills, but she was already selling, so that weren't a problem. What really was the problem was the way that she packaged and positioned her offer. Because it wasn't packaged and positioned at the level that allowed her to position it at that price point. So let me share something with you that I learnt on the on the retreat. And it's a metaphor, and it's simple, and it's based around a story, but I'm going to share it with you because this one thing totally changed the way that I build things out and the speed in which I build things out as well. Okay, so if you imagine, like, there were 12 of us on this retreat. Every morning at sunrise, we would all gather down to the beach. Like, that was a non-negotiable. Everybody was down on the beach, even before the sun came up. So we saw the first glimmer of sun just rise above the ocean. And we're all there in a row. On the first day, we sat there, we saw the sun rise, amazing experience, amazing feeling. And he says, right, your first task. He says, I want you to all split out, and I want you to separate yourselves along the beach. There's nobody else on the beach. You can go wherever you want to go, but you need to be at least 200 yards away from each other. Like, there's no looking, there's no glimpsing, there's no peeking, there's no like what they're doing, right? So you're totally by yourself. We really didn't understand why we're doing this. And he says, your task is that I want you to write your name in the sand. That's it, a task. You've got an hour. You've got an hour to write your name in the sand. We were like, what? Really? He says, you can do this the way that you want to do it. He says you can use anything that's washed up from the shore. He says you can dig, you can build, you can like use twigs from trees, whatever, like rubbish that people have left behind. Write your name in the sand. Be as creative as you want to be. So we're like, right, okay, what has this got to do with business? But okay, like, we're not there to argue. So we all separated, we got an hour, clock set, we went. So I'm there, I'm just like, okay, well, obviously I need to write my name in the sand. So I started digging, I started building. There were a guy's flip-flop that washed up, so I used that. I picked some twigs up, and there was some branches. I just thought, okay, well, I'll just make it fancy around my name, and I'll being as creative as I could be. I was trying to peek to see what other people were doing, but they're too far ahead, too far away from me, so I couldn't really see what they were doing. So I thought, okay, so just really immerse myself into what it is that I wanted to do with my name, how I wanted to look. And Dax at the time, the coach, he was like walking up and down, not passing any judgment, anything like that, not saying, oh, it was great, looks amazing, good job there, Andy. Just really walking up and down, observing. So that was it, 60 minutes over, gathered us all together, and he explained the reason as to why we did this exercise. And as he explained the reason why we did this exercise, I totally, fully understand why he did it and the importance of it. And it totally shifted everything that I do. And people I've shared this story with, it helps them as well. And here's the thing, is that in that moment of time, when I was building out what my name in the sand was, writing my name in the sand, like there was nobody else had the name Andy or Andrew. So I couldn't copy anybody else. I couldn't see anybody else, so I couldn't copy anybody else. There were people walking up and down, and they were looking at what we're doing, but I was so immersed into what I was doing that I wasn't bothered about what anybody thought about what I was doing. So I wasn't looking for judgment. I wasn't comparing myself against anybody else. It was my name. I built it, and I structured it, and I designed it the way that I wanted to do it, the way that I wanted to build it. And the method inside the story is that, like, when I used to build my coaching offer, the reason why it didn't sell is because it was a carbon copy of what other people were doing. It was a Frankenstein model effect of what other people were doing. I would take a little bit from down over there, a little bit from what they were doing, a little bit from down there, and I would try to Frankenstein that together myself, but it was just a carbon copy of what other people were doing. Because I wanted to fit in. Because I thought, well, if they're selling something like that, then I've got to sell something like that as well. And it wasn't a true reflection of what I wanted to sell. I couldn't really bring my full genius into something that was a carbon copy of somebody else. And another way they explain this as well is that when you are a child and you're on the beach and you're building a sandcastle, or yeah, if you're building a sandcastle on the beach as a child, anybody that walks past you, you're not bothered about what they think, what they say, their opinion. You know, as a child, you're just there, you're just having fun, right? And you're bringing love to it. And you're birthing something that you want. You're designing it because you want to design it that way. But there's a lot of business coaches or a lot of coaches just in general that when they shared me their offer, it's like, oh yeah, well that's same as theirs. And that's exactly the same as what they're doing. Right. And you, I bet you follow those, right? And you watch those very, very carefully because that is a total mirror effect of what somebody else is doing. And that's not a true reflection of what you should be bringing to the world. That's not your baby. And they're like, yeah, it's not. So once I understood this and I had to go through and embody this to see this and to realize this and have that moment in time, I like, yeah, I've copied so many people that was going to make me different, was going to make me stand out. Well, obviously I weren't standing out because of that. So moving forward, right, you need to be building an offer, right, that's structured around you, your baby, your genius, your zone of your gift, your talents, not a carbon copy of what other people are building or what they're selling. Now, I understand modeling, right? But you're not copying. You can model it like the marketplace is only for this, and you can design something for that that is a true representation of you and your talents and what you believe to be true. It doesn't have to be a representation of what other people says that it needs to be, if that makes sense. Let me know in the chat room if that makes sense. But I know it's easier to copy other people. And this is what most people do. Or if they copy somebody else, they'll say, well, you know, I'll design it like this first, I'll sell it, and then I'll design my own. I'm going to show you how to design your own today. Hopefully, if you're willing to do the work, we can actually get you to design yours on this call today. So last year, 2025, I designed 183 high-ticket offers, all personable, all bespoke, all different for individual people. And they were all built around their sandcastle, right? Their talents. And I'll walk you through the same frameworks on how to build it, how to structure it, and then we're going to set the clock to 5 minutes, and then we're going to go out there and build it. And let me just share this as well, because I know so many people that spend 6 months on this, 8 months on this. 2 years later, they still don't have an offer. And they're still in design mode. I'm still building it out. I'm still structuring it. I'm still laying it out. I'm still formalizing it. Like when I went to Thailand, we had literally 48 hours to build it. We didn't have ChatGPT. We just had our wisdom. We had our knowledge. We had our truth, and we had the results that we generated for our clients. That's all we had. We had 48 hours to design it, and then we had to present it. Like we were pushed to the edge. We were pushed outside our comfort zone. And when you are time bound to things like this, when you fully immerse yourself into something, doing something like this, and you're time bound, you've got nothing else to do apart from doing this. What you can do in such a short space of time is immense. is immense. We did this in 48 hours and then we presented it. And then after it, we were like, right, let's go sell it. Let me jump back into presentation mode. So before we do this, I want to look at and understand the buy world framework, because the truth most coaches don't realize is that their entire economics are built around premium buyers, right? So there's companies out there who they've built the framework of their organization or their business or their company, right, to sell high ticket. Most coaches, they're designed to sell low ticket straight out of the gate. They're not designed for the premium buyer world. And this is what I want to open your eyes up to, because it's crazy insane. There's people booking first class flights, right, for £30,000. There's people booking private masterminds at £50,000, $50,000. Yet most coaches are struggling at selling $500 offers. And that's because the way that the offer is packaged, if they've packaged it at all, is packaged for the low-end marketplace. So if your offer straight out of the gate is packaged for the low-end marketplace, like, you can't complain if you're not attracting premium clients. Does that make sense? So it's important that we package your offer for premium clients. These businesses here, they don't struggle to find premium buyers because their business model is built for premium buyers. It's a different world. But if you can't see it, you can't step into it, right? So the world will pay what you ask of it. It literally will pay what you ask of it. And this is not the woo-woo kind of stuff that I'm talking about. The world will literally pay what you ask of it, but also in alignment with the amount of responsibility that you're willing to take for it as well. So let's have a look at this as an example. All right, same product, just different buyer world. So you can buy Starbucks coffee here in the UK, £4.28. Whatever that is in US, right, $6, $7.50, something like that, I'm not sure, right? But £4.28 here in the UK. You can also go down to London and you can buy a cup of coffee in the Black Ivy for £300 per cup. Same product, different buyer world. And it's a famous coffee shop and it's booked out solid. So the business model is primed only to attract people who understand the value in paying £300 for a cup of coffee. And it's not the size of a tall or a grande Starbucks, right? Small cups. Same product, different buyer's world. You can buy Dairy Milk Cadbury's Dairy Milk chocolate bar, £1.50 here in the UK. It's actually more than that right now. Or you can buy Tart chocolate for $300, $450. Same product, different buyer company, different buyer world. And again, it's a successful company. Same product, different buyer world. You can join the YMCA for £29, £40 a year annual costs, or you can join the Yellowstone Club in Montana, USA for $400,000. That's the initial fee to join the club, and $41,000 annual fees. Now, obviously, different total type of club, but it's a club, right? Same product, different buyer. Or you can join the club at Cookéo in Hawaii, if I pronounced that correctly, probably didn't, $400,000. Same product, different buyer. Again, the same flights over to Dubai, same time, same flights, same flight numbers. I can go economy at 2,455, or I can fly first class at £32,000. Same flights, different experience, but same product. If your offer isn't designed to speak to and to attract that level of buyer, then you cannot expect to attract that level of buyer, right? So if you are only attracting people that maybe are on the broke books, they don't want to invest, the DIYers, or maybe they want to invest less than $1,000, or maybe they only want to invest between $1,000 and $2,000, then there's a reason behind that. Or if you potentially are attracting premium clients, but when they look at your offer, it looks like a low level ticket offer, the way that it's packaged and positioned, then you can't expect them to have the trust in what you're positioning in front of them to invest $3,000 to $10,000. Like, there's a mismatch. So what I learned on the retreat and what I carry with me forward and what I teach my clients is to package and to position their offer to speak to the level of caliber of client that they want to attract, that wants to invest at that level. But when they see the offer is just like irresistible, it's jaw-dropping. It makes sense to them. They can see the value in it. It makes sense. It makes logistical sense to them, the way that it's positioned, because they can see that this is the way they're going to get the transformation. And it's like, I'm interested. Let's get started. I'm just going to have a quick drink. Michelle resonates with this. Sally resonates with this. Brenda makes sense. Cool. Okay, so why your pricing determines your clients. And I'll just quickly put this together. So you got low-level caliber clients, mid-level caliber clients, and high-level caliber clients. And, I'll just say this. It's like everybody finds their own level. So I'm not judging anybody. The world is full of people that's never going to invest. And that is who they are. And that's where they sit. That's their stand on it. And that's fine. There's people that are only willing to ever invest so much, right? And that's where they sit. That's what they do, not just in business, but in all walks of life, in different areas of life. And that's fine, right? They've found their level. And there's people at different levels. And you could just ask yourself, okay, so, what level do you want to play at? And only you can decide that, right? And there's no judgment around that. You find your level and you play at that level and be happy at that level. But if you're not happy at that level and you want to attract people at a higher level, then the simplest of things that I'll say to you, because there's no matrix around it, is just like step into that level. Take ownership of that level, step into it, and build something that represents that level. That's going to be attractive to people at that level. And so, you play the game that you want at the level that you want to play it at. I went through all of these levels. I've gone through all of these 4 levels, and I knew that I wanted to be at level 4. But I've gone through all the other levels very quickly than what most people do. But you don't have to go through 4 levels. You can just go from 0 to level 4 if you want, and nobody can stop you from doing that. If you understand that you want to get high committed clients and you don't want to work with freebie seekers, if you want to get high trust clients and you don't want to work with people that's got resistance against sales, if you want to work with people that move fast and not people that move slow, if you want to work with people that want bigger results and not people that show up, don't show up, part of work, don't do full work, don't get full results, and then they moan when they don't get results. Like, if you don't want to work with that caliber of person and you want to have a better experience in business, then just elevate yourself to level 4 straight away. You don't have to go through the ranks at all, 100%. But I've created this because I've kind of like been through this and just to show you the ranks of a different caliber of people at different price points. And at level 4, level 3 and level 4, but more level 4. Level 4, people have got bigger stakes, right? They've got bigger skin in the game. They've invested more. And they understand the process and the reason behind having skin in the game. Because having skin in the game, like you've put more money down. So you want to get that money back as quickly as possible. So these people are more committed. More high value people at this level have bigger goals and they understand that when they invest, they're actually investing in themselves, they're investing in the future of themselves, they're investing in their goals. They also know as well to move forward faster, like having skin in the game propels them forward because again, they put a big investment down. Then they execute to win. They show up to win. So I also want to talk about anchoring premium pricing because the way that most people price their offer is based around, well, one of the most common, not questions, well, it's a statement, but a question in disguise, is they'll say, Andy, will people really pay this for 3 months? Like, will people really pay this for like 1 hour coaching session a week over 3 months? Will people really pay this for this structure of an offer? Is this a long enough program to pay this amount of money? And what they're doing is they're charging based on time spent or duration of the program or the delivery. And what they're not doing is basing it on outcome, based on results driven. That's really the only thing you should be building, you should be pricing your offer on. The outcome delivered. What's that worth to them? Not time spent, not the duration of the program, not how many modules are inside your course, if it's a course, or your program, not how many videos are inside the modules, not how long the videos are, nothing at all with that. Not how many calls they're having with you, or the structure of the program. It shouldn't be based on that. It should be based purely and simply on the outcome of them working with you, going through your offer. What does that deliver? But let's look at this a different way as well, right? Let's really change the paradigm on pricing your offer. Let's say that somebody came to work with you, they invested in you, and let's say they invested, you say like $3,000, right? They work with you for 3 months, and then they leave you and they carry on doing exactly the same as what you've taught them to do for the next 12 months. What's going to happen to their results over that next 12 months? Like you've priced them based on, you've priced your offer based on them working with you for 3 months and the results that they generate here. But if they were to carry on doing exactly the same as what you taught them to do over the next 12 months, what type of results are they going to generate here 12 months later? we're about 3 years later. They carry on doing exactly the same as what you've told them to do initially, and they carry on for another 3 years. What are their results going to be like in 3 years' time? What's their life going to be like 3 years' time? What's their finances like? What's their career like? What's their relationship like? What's their energetics like? What's their personal relationship with themselves like? What's the knock-on effect as that had to every element of their life, to their social circles, the ripple effect on their families, their children, their wives, their husbands? Yet you're pricing for a 3 month course or 3 month working with you. Would what you do be worth charging what the results provides around about 12 months, in 12 months' time? Good point, Brenda, right? Everybody's framing their offer, framing their prices around the time frame of the program. And they're not looking at what the true results of working with you provides, the future results. When somebody explained that to me, that blew my mind. And I'm like, absolutely. So, oh, I need to rub all this off. Bear with me a second. I'll just remove this doodling. Okay, perfect. So we're going to get into the anatomy of building um, a signature offer, premium offer, however you want to frame it. Same thing. And this is one I did for one of my recent clients, Francis, as you can see her name's there, not long ago, a few weeks ago. And we first started off by mapping out here, right? This line here represents 2 points. On the left hand side, where the potential client currently is, and on the right hand side, where the client desires to be. And this was a map of Francis's offer at the time. We've dialed it in a lot more since working together. But as we're mapping out, let's just focus on this area, right hand side, underneath the line in red. Let's focus here. Because I was asking Francis, okay, so I come to work with you, I invest in you, and like, what are the results that you help me to generate? And she'll like, oh, increase revenue, double turnover, more confidence, weight loss, better relationship, more clarity of their gift. And I'm like, okay, tell me, what are people more inclined to invest in? What's the real result here that you help them to get? Are they really investing in you for confidence? So like, well, I help them to become more confident. And this is what I see a lot of coaches doing. They're selling motivation, they're selling confidence, they're selling clearing anxiety, they're selling clearing stress, eliminating stress. They're selling all of this fluff. And I know it's not fluff. They do need to do that. But in terms of sales, in terms of outcome, it is fluff. And we need to get down to really selling the desired dream outcome. And it's not more confidence. That's a byproduct. Weight loss, maybe a byproduct. Better relationship, byproduct. More clarity of their offer is a byproduct. The only thing that they would invest in is the real outcome that they desire as a business owner, and that's increased revenue and doubling the turnover. Now, at the time, I asked her, I said, okay, so how much are you charging for this? And I think she says at the time, like £1,500. I'm like, okay, so tell me, somebody comes to you and I come to you and my business is already at this level and you want me to increase my revenue, I double my turnover. Like, tell me some of your clients' turnovers that you've able to double. Well, I helped one client do $30,000 a month. I'm like, wow, and you're charging £1,500. In that circumstances, in that situation, an high ticket offer, and a high ticket person that's coming to look at doubling their sales, and if they're doing $15,000 and they want to do $30,000, and you're charging $1,500 or £1,500, can you see the mismatch? Can you see the disconnect? And can you see how the graph that I showed you earlier on, high ticket client, and you're positioning your offer at that level, like they're not going to invest. But she could also see how like she should be charging $8,000, even $15,000 for that. And she's like, wow, unbelievable all day long. So it's important that you really understand the true outcome, that what you can deliver and what they desire, and marry those two up. Effectively, they should be the same, and not the fluff, right? The real tangible outcome. And if you're not in the business world, like tangible outcome doesn't need to be money orientated. I think you can always get to a money orientation outcome, but it doesn't always have to be money orientated. If you're in the fitness space or a health space and you help people drop weight, like attach a tangible outcome to that in terms of weight dropped. That's a tangible outcome. But also as well, the way you could attach that to a monetary tangible outcome is that, well, if they shred that amount of weight, they become more productive at work, they're showing up better at work, chances are they could have a promotion, right? Or hit better KPIs. So it can always be tied to a tangible outcome. So you always need to make sure that the outcome driven is a tangible outcome driven and not more confidence, or gain clarity, or better quality sleep. Then let's move to the left hand side underneath the line. Now, what you can see here is what I'm doing is I'm creating a visual representation. Most coaches don't create a visual representation of their offer. And this is just a rough draft right now. But this is a visual representation. When you create a visual representation of your offer, something shifts. You're turning something that's intangible into something that's tangible. Because for most coaches, their offer is just in their head and things are just floating around and it's not visual. So there's no concept of what it looks like, or there's no framework to it. As you can see, as I was mapping this out for Frances, I'm taking concepts of what she does and I'm turning from them just from ideas into visual representations. So now to the left hand side underneath the line, now this is where we establish, okay, so who is this for and what is their real bleeding neck problem? So established female entrepreneurs currently doing £2,000, £3,000 a month in sales, spiritual aware, and yeah, so they're stuck at this level in terms of sales. And then she went into and the reason behind that is that they maybe had a bad childhood or trauma in other areas of their life. Maybe they've had a bad breakup or bad marriage and stuff. So she says, so we help them on that as well. So that's, maybe a bleeding neck problem. But the thing is like they don't lay in bed on the night thinking, oh, because I had a bad childhood, like I can't grow my business. That might be a problem, an underlying undercurrent problem, but that's not going to be part of the marketing message. That's not like the real problem at this level is that they're stuck at sales. They're capped at sales, and the dream is that they want to double their sales in this term, right? So this is the kind of mapping out that you need to be able to do for your offer. And this is like the basic. This is the basic fundamentals. This is the starting path. So we also need to then, in the middle, we've got here feminine raw. That's what she calls her offer. So we need in the middle, we need to have, we need to give it a title. So they understand, okay, so this is how, using the feminine raw in terms of Frances, this is how you take people from here over to here. That's what bridges the gap. Because we've created a gap. We've created a gap from between point A and point B. So feminine raw actually bridges that gap. And then what we need to do above the line, this is where we need to create a client success pathway, or this is where we need to create a success pathway. And this is from a very, very high 30,000 foot viewpoint. We need to be able to map out the path that you take your clients on to take them from point A to point B. And this is not going nuanced. This is not talking about like the small micro things that you do with your clients. It's just from a 30,000 foot viewpoint. It's like big steps. It's like the pillars of your offer. And then within inside each pillar, then obviously that's where the nuance, and that's where some of the smaller, the finer detail things that you do. But your clients don't need to know. They just need to see that you've got a pathway, a structured pathway. Because what this does for your clientele at this level, first and foremost, it gives them clarity. Oh, these are the steps I need to take in order to go from where I am to where I desire to be. It also gives them confidence in you. Oh, yeah, well, Joy, Sally, Michelle has got it all figured out. They've got the steps in place. I just need to follow the steps. They've figured it out, so I don't need to figure it out. So it gives confidence in you as a coach that, or in them as a client, that, well, okay, if I was to invest in this, steps are there, everything's figured out, and all I need to do is just go through these pillars with this coach to hold me accountable with their support. Also, what it does as well, it allows you to sell with conviction because you can easily position what you have in front of them so they understand it. And they understand it to a level where it makes sense to them. So it also gives them confidence in you as a coach, but it also gives them confidence that, okay, if I invest in this, this is the pathway that I need to take. Right? So this is fundamentally, foundationally, this is what we do with every single client that we work with. Before we look at strategy, we make, and even if they've got their offer laid out, structured, they've got the pillars, right? Chances are the way that it's structured, it's not structured at a level that attracts that level 4 client or that level 3 client, if that makes sense, right? So there's a few, in most times, there's things that needs to be tweaked in order for it to land. In most times, we have to simplify it because most coaches overcomplicate things. And it takes that second viewpoint for somebody to be able to simplify it because most people can't simplify their own stuff. But that's the fundamentals of building the anatomy of an offer. So this is another one as well. You'll see that a lot of coaches will go, well, you need a statement. You need an offer in terms of high-level professional females come to me ready to stop people pleasing, right? Most people say, well, you need a statement. Well, you can't build your mission statement or your marketing statement or your bio unless you've built the fundamentals of your offer out first. Building your offer out comes first. Because once you've built the offer out and you've got the framework of your offer out, then the framework of your offer, the way that it's laid out, then it helps you to be able to crystallize and build and structure your signature method offer. And this is one of the reasons why most mission statements don't land, because it's not based around the framework of that offer, because that offer is not being frameworked out the way that it should be. Does that make sense? I know I'm going through a lot here, and I know I'm going through this relatively fast. So here's what we need to do. And this breaking down in a simple format, just 4 steps in order to build out and structure a very simple offer that is packaged around your zone of genius, which is based on your truth, based on what you believe needs to happen in order to have clients' results, not what anybody else is doing out there in the world. And again, if you want to look fresh and unique in an overcrowded busy marketplace, like more so now today than ever, this needs to be done. This needs to be done because everybody is doing a carbon copy of somebody else's stuff. So what we need to do, rough bit of paper, blank bit of paper, draw a line, the right hand side underneath the line, number 1 is you need to draft out like what's the biggest result that you can generate for your client? Tangible outcome. What's the biggest result? Whether that's in terms of money delivered, whether that's in terms of weight loss dropped, whether that's in terms of whatever it may be, getting a new career. What's the biggest outcome that you need that you can create? Write that down. And you might need to write a lot down to find the biggest desired outcome that they want and what you can help them to get. Not fluff, tangible outcomes. Because at the end of the day, that's all they are investing in. The fluff is just some of the stuff that you might take them through as you're working with them. But fluff doesn't sell. Tangible outcomes does. So once you've understood what the biggest desired outcome is, then number 2, bleeding net problem. What's the biggest problem that this person is struggling with to get this result? What's the biggest bleeding net problem? Like not small, low level problems, because nobody's going to invest at level 4 or level 3 to solve a low level problem. What's the biggest bleeding net problem that's stopping them from hitting this desired result? And you might have to write a few down. You might have to write a few down to find the bleeding net problem. There's going to be many different problems, and there's going to be a lot of problems all at different levels. Find the biggest problem that they're currently struggling with, right? And be known. You want to become known in your space for solving this one bleeding net problem and delivering this biggest desired outcome. If you can step into this space and become known for those 2 points, you're going to attract level 3, level 4 people. And then once you've got point 1 and point 2 down, you need to be able to create a unique solution or a unique mechanism that signifies and signals on, well, this is how I help people get from point A to point B. Most people find it hard to find their unique solution. Here's how I do it. And it's super, super simple. I'm going to share it with you. Is I would look at the way that I coach clients. And I'll write down some of the things I take clients through. And then out of the list of 5 or 6, 7, 8 different things of what I would do for a client, I'll go, okay, so out of these things the way that I serve clients, it might be identity shift work, it might be energetic work, it might be human design work, it might be, whatever it might be, right? List down some of the ways that you work with clients and think, okay, so which are the three ways that makes the biggest difference that you like serving the most? There's going to be a few of those things that has shifts, but there's going to be a few of those things inside that list that makes the biggest shift, that has the biggest awareness, the biggest transformations, right? That sits with them for a long time, forever. And then from those three, reverse it down to the one thing that you do that makes the whole of the difference with your clients. And then package your unique solution around that one thing. Yes, you help clients through many different ways, but it's that one thing that makes the biggest shifts. So use that as your unique mechanism, blueprint, principle, whatever you add to it at the end, as that's your unique mechanism, solution that helps clients get from point A to point B. It's quite simple to do that. Oh, have I just lost Canva? No, there we go. So step one, step two, step three. Take some thinking. But if you just sit down, actually it doesn't take that long to do. It's just about doing the work. So then once you've got step one, step two, and step three down, it's about creating the ultimate pathway. So as I shared previously, right, it's just writing down what you do with clients from a 30,000 foot viewpoint and writing it down in logical sequential order of sequence. So let me explain like my phases. So in my business is I don't have 4 phases, I have 3 phases. So it might not be 4 phases, it might be 3 phases. It wouldn't necessarily be 2 phases. So it would always be 3 or 4 phases. It wouldn't necessarily be 5 phases. Again, we're simplifying it, right? But we're not too simplifying it. So in what I do, I help people through 3 phases. So when clients first come to me, so when I explain this on a sales conversation, because I have the pillars, I have the phases, it makes sense to them. So when they come to me and I have a sales conversation and I open up a whiteboard and I'll map out so where you're currently at and where you want to be, my unique solution. And so what we do first and foremost, like we step into build it phase. And inside build it phase, what we do is, and I would explain a little bit about what we do in build it phase. And they're like, yeah, okay, well, that makes sense. And then once we've done build it phase, which maybe takes around about 1 to 5 days, some people do it sooner, some people might do it in 7 days. But once we've gone through phase 1, then we step into phase 2, which is activated phase. And what we do in activated phase is like, well, okay, so we start growing our group, we start filling our events, and we start presenting our offer and making sales. So we activate what we've built. Now, if you think about that as a sequential order sequence, well, that makes sense. So they're like, right, okay, well, I can see how that would work. Yeah, that makes sense. Because most programs are keeping them busy for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, just building out. And we get things built out in the first 5, 7 days. And then we step into active phase 2, where they can start making sales in the first 30 days. And then once we've activated phase, then we can step into phase 3, where we are mastering it. So mastering it phase, where we are perfecting every element of the activating phase, so we can increase our conversions, increase our sales skills, increase our presentations, increase our, right, everything that we're doing, we're mastering it. So that will be my ultimate pathway. And the pathway is different for everybody. So, but what you need to be able to have is your ultimate pathway. When somebody first comes to you, what's the thing that you take them through first? And then once they've gone through that thing, then what's the second thing that then you would take them onto? And then the third thing, and then the fourth thing, if there's a fourth pillar or phase. Doesn't have to be phases, it can be pillars. Because this showcases again to your marketplace that you've got it all figured out. They don't you've gone before them, and all they need to do is just follow the ultimate pathway or the client success pathway. And it gives them that confidence of, oh yeah, this is what I need to do. So this is what it's like, this is the anatomy of a premium offer. Most people overcomplicate it. And you might think there's more to it. There isn't. If you think about level 4 clients, when I showed you their profile earlier on, a level 4 client, they don't want overwhelm. They're already information overloaded. They've already tried everything, right? When they come to you, it's not because they want more information. It's not because they want more time with you. Like, they want you to simplify it. They want you to make it easier. They want you to be able to just map things out simple for them and let them just go in and just do the transformation, just follow the pathway. So when I show something as simple as this, like most people say, really, can you charge like $15,000 for this? Can you charge $12,000 or $8,000 or $5,000 just for something as simple as this? Yes, you can. Because it's based on results, it's based on desired outcome, it's based on simplification, and it's based on, well, you've done all the guesswork, you've figured it out, and all they need to do is just jump into here, right? And it's designed to solve their bleeding their problem. Let me know in chat. Let me know in chat if that is clear. Does that make sense? Guys, let me know in chat if that makes sense. I'm not speaking to myself. Michelle, good. Here's one thing I will say, right? I'm going to go back to here. And here's one thing that I'll say is that if you want to attract level 4 clients or level 3 clients, here's something else you need to think about. Is that you can't attract level 4, level 3 clients if right now you are low level caliber client yourself. Like attracts like, right? The world mirrors back to you what you give it. So if you want to attract level 3, level 4 clients, become a level 3, become a level 4 client yourself. Just wanted to drop that in there. So it's time to draft your own premium offer. So what I'm going to do is, this was going to be an exercise, time's ticking on, so I'm not going to turn it into an exercise, but draft your own offer. Take the frameworks that I've given you, draft your own offer, and jump into the chat that I created for the community, for the event, and share your design, right? Share your ultimate pathway. Share step 1, step 2, and step 3. Create it, make it visual. Take a screenshot, share it, and I'll give you feedback. This is Caroline. Caroline joined just a few months ago, right? She was selling herself as an hypnotist, as a therapist. People are not paying high ticket for therapists and hypnotists online. We needed to repackage and reposition. We repackaged and repositioned, and last week, right, she closed a $4,500 client. And as she said there, Andy, thank you, Andy. I couldn't have done it without you. This is a fully designed offer. as I showed you, I did 885 of these last year, 2025. This is what I did for Crystal in June, June 25th. Unique method, signature statement. We could only build the signature statement because we've got the full offer designed. We've got the pillars laid down in, right? So identity reset. That's the first thing that she does with the client. Then she takes the client through what she calls a masculine empowerment. And then from there, it's about purpose and realignment. And then from there, it's about working with relationship recode. Now, that might not mean anything to you, but to herself, to what Crystal does, that makes sense. And to her marketplace, that makes sense. And then what you can see underneath, which we've not talked about, is now taking it one step further. Because then how do you sell this? How do you sell it? Well, what we do when people come onto a sales conversation, when people book sales calls with us, and if you've not booked a sales call with us, you won't have experienced this. If you have, then you will have done. But what we do is we actually map this out. We map our offer out. And then as we're mapping it out, we actually explain the need for pillar one. So for example, Crystal would go, so when somebody steps into our container, the first thing that we do is what I call identity reset. And she would type in identity reset. And then she would explain the purpose of the identity reset. And maybe some of the processes that she would go through inside the identity reset. And then she would explain the outcome of the identity reset. And then she would explain why it matters and explain the invisible risk. And the invisible risk is, well, if you don't do this, then chances are without this, and explain that if you don't do this, then this is the consequence. Now, she doesn't have that underneath, so she's not reading it, but because this is her offer, she knows it, and she can just simply articulate it and explain it. The objective, some of the processes, and the outcome. Why it matters, so you're edifying the importance, and then the invisible risk. And then once we've done this, then we step into what we call the masculine empowerment. And the objective of stepping into masculine empowerment is to restore grounded confidence, setting boundaries, and leadership in his life. Right? So then she would explain the purpose of this, some of the processes, the outcome, why it matters, and the invisible risk. Now, and then she would explain all as she's typing out the pathway. So as they're explaining in a sales conversation, the prospect is going, wow, that's amazing. Nobody's actually drafted that out for me before like that. That makes sense. Nobody's explained it and simplified it like that before. I love it. It makes sense. What's the investment? So not only is that the way out to build a premium offer, but that's part way as well of how to actually sell a premium offer. Instead of taking people through long-winded sales scripts that you can't remember and doesn't make sense. And that's a wrap. Let's see if Jane or Sally has got any questions. If you would like to unmute yourself.
Hi Andrew, I wanted to know about the levels, how you get to different levels. I know you briefly said that you have to upversion yourself, but can you explain it a bit more, please?
Okay, so is the question how you get clients at different levels, or is the question how you get yourself to different levels?
I know how you get clients at different levels.
Okay, so that would be talking more about more strategic strategies in getting clients, and this training is not for like jumping into client strategy, client acquisition. Yeah, this training is just about positioning and packaging your offer.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, cool. Um, Next week, I'm actually going to be running a challenge talking about lead generation, filling your group, filling your offers, and everything. So if you want to know about that, Sally, just drop me a message, and I'll send you registration details for that.
Thank you
Jane, if
very
you
much. Thank you.
you're welcome. Jane, if you don't have any questions, we'll wrap it up here.
No, okay, I have a question. So,
Yes.
yeah, that was really good. And it just seems the whole packaging of your own offer needs to be very elevated.
You're right.
Um, and like it just in which I'm familiar with, but it can be almost it's a service or it could be a hands-on service or it sounds like it's more transformational. And
Yes.
would it be like a 6 month? You recommend like a 6 month type of offer?
I think that's a really good question, and my answer to that is that if they could get the results, Jane,
Mm.
in a week, then why make it 6 months?
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Right. People want to condense, want something, they want to change, as soon as possible. And
Yeah.
maybe you can like add bonuses or, extra time could be bonuses, follow-ups. So
I
maybe
think this
even a
is,
three
yeah,
month. Yeah.
yeah. I think this is where like again, and I think you joined, so you missed like part of a story that I told down here, which if you watch it back on the replay, you'll understand that story. Um, but I think this is where the coaching industry is like, oh well, it needs to be a 6 month package or a 12 month mastermind or a 3 month package or 10 weeks. No, it doesn't. It needs to be as long as it needs to be in order for the client to get the transformation,
Yeah.
right? Because the client doesn't want to spend any more time with you than needed. They don't want to, like, when I went on this retreat in Thailand, um, one of the stories that my coach at the time told me about this dentist story, that this guy, very busy entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur, seven-figure entrepreneur, heading a huge sales department, um, got a lot of responsibility, also got a family, demanding family, also got a busy social life. One day came down with a toothache. And that toothache over a period of a week, his tooth started decaying. So the pain got deeper, more immense, and it was disrupting not just his business but his personal life as well. He was getting agitated. His business was suffering. He wasn't showing up for business. He was getting agitated with his team players at work. Um, he wasn't eating food, so he was losing sleep as well. So he phoned the dentist up. He says, I need to get this tooth sorted. He spoke to one dentist. The dentist said, yes, we've got an availability. In 3 weeks, we can get you in the chair and it'll cost you $50. And we'll sort out whatever needs to be sorted out. And they were like, not good enough. I can't wait another 3 weeks. It's already damaged my life and business in a week. I can't carry on with this pain. So he phoned up another dentist. This dentist says, yep, no problem at all. I can get you in the chair this afternoon. We can get your teeth sorted. We can whip it out. We can do whatever it needs to be done. Fantastic. I'm in. How much is it going to cost? $5,000. No problem. I'm there.
Yeah.
Right? Solved a bleeding neck problem, desired outcome. Yeah, he had to invest in solving that problem, but like the results were worth it. The problem was solved today, right?
So
And
what I'm hearing, yeah, I'm hearing urgency, and I know
yeah,
urgency is really important in these type of things, right?
mhm.
I think I have to lift that up. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Mm,
absolutely. I think I'm really, really pleased that you brought that question to the
mm,
to the table.
yeah.
Thank you, Jane.
Okay,
Any,
thank you.
no, you're
Mm.
welcome. My pleasure. Any other questions? No. Cool. Okay. Jane, Sally, and everybody else who turned up, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. This is going to be on a replay, so if you want to watch this again in its entirety, if you missed that, Just drop me a message and I'll send you access to the replay. It's been a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.
All right, ciao. Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.